everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is our session 6 of this entire series about Canadian taxes in Dynamics FNO. And in this episode, we want to focus on a demo of tax calculations for the sales side, right? So it can be a sales order, it can be a free tax invoices, but in this episode, I'm going to first give you a high-level overview through a flowchart how that tax values get defaulted on sales order transactions. And then we can do a live example to explain the calculation and see how we handle the GST, HST, PST. So this should all be the same. I'll just pick an example for PST so you can see really the calculated tax and how that's posted. So from there, let's get started. I'm going to move on to show you this flowchart for sales order. So similar to the purchasing side, if you haven't checked that before, please use that link in the description box to check the previous PO sessions where we have a similar flowchart. And it's almost the same on the sales order side. What does that mean is you also have two sections. So feel free to pause and have a look. The first section above, that's about your item sales tax group. And basically that value comes from your item master. So the system is going to first check if an item sales tax group has been assigned on the item master in the sale section. If there is a value available, then that tax rate is going to be applied. If not, then on that specific transaction, that item sales tax group will be blank. So user has to manually select a value for the tax to be calculated, right? And in the section down below, we are talking about the sales tax group, so mainly assigned on the customer side. So what the system will check at the top priority is if we have a sales tax group value assigned on the customer delivery address. If that's the case, then this value is going to be applied. If not, then the system will check, okay, on your customer master, on that field sales tax group, do you have a value in this case? If yes, then this code is going to be applied with the rates, right? In case those two areas, we don't have any tax code assigned, then the system will leave it blank on your sales order transaction. So user has to manually select a value to calculate tax. So once we have decided which tax codes are relevant for this transaction, again, the logic of Dynamics is to use the common rate between those two groups and get to the final tax calculation, right? Straightforward. So with that, let's actually do a demo with an example of sales order so you can really see how that's defaulted and how the tax is calculated. So I'm going to open up my Dynamics environment and I have this customer account, We Construction. So for this specific customer, I will show you first, I have an address created. So this is just a test address. So I leave the name as GST for us to easily identify. And clearly this address gives the state of Alberta, who charges only 5% of GST. And if I scroll down, I can find actually I have a sales tax group assigned here where I don't really have a value. So let me find that out. Okay, let's enter invoice and delivery. So currently I just assigned this BC PST. So you see clearly we have a discrepancy between the customer delivery address sales tax group and the sales tax group on the customer master, right? So the reason is, let's say you have a customer, they may have different locations to receive the items they ordered from you. And if that's the case, depending on where that item is received from the customer side, that specific customer delivery address will determine what's the jurisdiction and what code should be applied. So for my customer, I can have a default group assigned to BC. Let's say their, I don't know, office or headquarters is in BC. However, depending on the delivery address, that's what you see previously, right? And that value basically, you can also define a sales tax group default to the specific address. In this case, it's going to be GST, so Alberta. So what I can do is, let's do more option, advanced. And here I will give that sales tax group value to the specific address to GST, and then I can save it. So from there, we are ready to do a transaction on sales order. So first, let me open up another tab, and we're going to get to accounts receivable, all sales orders. Okay, so I have picked this customer account with construction, and what you're seeing here, the delivery address is by default suggested based in Alberta. So the sales tax group assigned to this address will have the top priority. That means on my sales order transactions, I should have the sales tax group of GST instead of PST, which is assigned on the customer master data, right? Let's check that out. So it doesn't matter which site and warehouse, I'll just use that transit. All right, and then we can continue. Okay, apparently that language should be assigned on my customer master data, but that's okay. I'll assign it here. Let's get into the sales orders. All right, I'll scroll down now. Let's pick the same item, advertising, right? So I'm going to give a total amount. All right, quantity 1 and total price, let's do 1,000 just for easy calculation. Okay, now let's scroll down to line details, and I'm going to get to setup. And what you're seeing, this item sales tax group, that's from the item master, all V2, doesn't change. Sales tax group, this is picking up the customer delivery address with the sales tax group we assigned, like GST. So this is really the top priority. In case you don't have a value assigned, then in that case, it's going to be PST from your customer master data, that field sales tax group, right? So with that, we have a total amount of 1,000. I can save this and actually see the sales tax calculation. Nothing crazy. So clearly 5% with 50 as total. And you can check the same, enter sales orders, and then do the totals here. And that gives you a kind of a breakdown with the subtotal, tax calculation. So that's 50 under sales tax. Right? So that's pretty straightforward. And now let me remove this line. And let's say I will remove from my customer account that address, delivery address. I will change this sales tax group on my address level. And I will remove the sales tax group, right? And then save it. So from here, you're going to see now if I add this new line to my sales order with the same item, advertising. All right, and then total amount, let's put 2,000. Oh, 2,000 here. Okay, we can check again, enter setup. Now the sales tax group becomes BC PST, which comes from my customer master data. So if I do a quick search, sales tax group. So basically this field is considered for the default value, right? So now let's say I save this. In terms of calculation for BC, then I would expect to see two portions. One is GST, the other one is PST. So let's check that out. Enter sale and then sales tax. So this one, 5% GST with a total $100. And then the next line is going to be BC PST. So you can really track that sales tax code with the relevant percentage that gives you all the visibility you need, right? So you can also see the reflection on your sales order totals. Straightforward here, you are going to have 240 as sales tax with a total invoiceable amount of 2,240, right? So same thing for HST, if that's the case. I'm not going to give you a live example because it's exactly the same calculation. It's just, depending on which value you're going to define on the sales tax group, it's going to impact the calculation. But one thing you do need to know is, remember, if I go back to this PowerPoint, so for the sales tax group, the top priority is on customer delivery address. So let's say if you have a customer invoice address, then the system is not going to consider the sales tax group assigned to that invoice delivery address. It's going to check the purpose of delivery and primary and consider that value for the sales tax group, right? So sometimes I have users come back say, oh, I defined a sales tax group on my delivery address level, but it's not picking up by the system. Actually, after I checked, it's because that address is not associated to a purpose of delivery. It's associated to business or invoice. All right, so that's everything I want to cover within this episode. If you have any questions or feedback, please comment down below and let me know what are the other contents you would like to see. And if you're interested in the PowerPoint I presented, please feel free to comment. I'm going to share a version with the flowchart with you for free. All right, thank you everyone for watching. See you in the next episode.